Alright, we're going to talk about sums and differences of cubes. But first, I want to talk about differences of squares. What? Yeah, so if we already, hopefully, we already know that if we have something like this, a squared minus b squared, then we can factor that into just a, and then b, and then one with a plus, one with a minus in between. And that's just the difference of squares pattern. So let's do a quick example of difference of squares. Really, all you're doing is you're square rooting the first term if everything is a perfect square. You're square rooting the first term, and you're writing it here and here. And then you're square rooting the second term, and you're writing it here and here. And then you just put alternating signs, plus, minus. Or you can do minus, plus, either way. So that's really all you're doing. So if I have something like this, that should really be no trouble. Because, well, everything here is a perfect square. 36 is a perfect square. That's 6 times 6. This is x times x. And so on. So, what do? We just take, we take parentheses. You take the square root of this, the first term. What's the square root of 36? 6. What's the square root of x squared? X. And then you write it there. Okay. And then what's the square root of the 7? What's the square root of y squared? That's just y. 7y. And then you put a plus and a minus. That's it. That's it. That's all. Let me show you, if I were to multiply this out, I would get back to this. That's why it works. So this is the answer. And then let's check it real quick. If I'm multiplying this out, I'm going to do it with a box. 6 times 6 is 36. X times x is x squared. 6x times negative 7y. Well, 6 times 7 is negative 42. Sorry, 6 times negative... Oh, maybe I did say that. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. X times y, they're not like terms that you can't add the exponents. That's just x, y. And then 7 times 6 is positive 42. Y times x is yx or xy again. And look at that, they cancel out. What? When we combine like terms, they cancel out. And then 7 times negative 7 is negative 49. Y times y is y squared. So really, all we have is 36x squared minus 49y squared. That's why this pattern works. Amazing. So that's to check it. Okay, let's move on to the sum and differences of cubes. So let's look at something. Well, actually, I'm going to write the same way. I'm going to write the formulas or the patterns first. And I'll give you a way to remember it. And then maybe an example in the next video. So, what do we have here? Well, a sum of cubes. What is that? That is a cubed and b cubed, because they're cubes. And then sum means addition. Okay, so we want to take, just like we did here, we want to factor it out. So it looks like that. And here's the pattern. Here's the pattern. First, I'll have small, this is exactly how I remember it. I have a set of small parentheses, and then I have a set of large parentheses. This is going to have a binomial in it, meaning just two terms, a polynomial with two terms. And the other part is going to have a trinomial in it. That's why we have, that's why it's longer. And then how do we fill it? How do we write stuff down? Okay, well, first thing I do is I'll take the cube root of this. Really, this is how I remember it. I have a and b, and then in the front and back of this, I kind of have the same thing, except for I have a squared and b squared. So this is exactly how I remember it. And then in the middle, I have both of them, a, b, and then now I have to figure out what goes in between. Well, there's something to remember that, and it's SOAP. S-O, come on! Alright, S-O, and then A-P. It spells soap. Do you see that? What does that mean? What does it mean, soap? It's different than what you used to wash your hands with. Soap means same. So what sign goes in here? The same that's in the original. Okay, plus. This means opposite. What sign goes here? The opposite that's in the original. So that's plus. This will be minus. And then always positive means always positive. Sorry, that's what this means. Always positive. So there you go. That's how you remember the pattern. So I'm going to do the same thing for differences of cubes, and then I'm going to end this video. So that was the sum of cubes. If you remember soap, you can remember how to fill in the signs there. Let's see a difference of cubes. And you actually use soap again. So a difference of cubes, that would be a cubed minus b cubed. The difference means subtraction. And then how do I build up my parentheses? This is something that you should practice. Like watch it, pause it, don't like listen to anything, and then try it on your own. See if you can remember doing this. You do small parentheses and then longer parentheses. First one is for a binomial, and this one's for a trinomial. Then you fill it the same way almost. This A, this is B, this is A squared, this is B squared. In the middle, it's both A and B, A times B. And then you remember soap, S-O-A-P. What sign goes in here? The same as your original. What sign goes in here? The opposite of your original. And this one's always positive. And there we go. Do you see how these are different? That's because they started out different. And that's how you factor differences of cubes and sums of cubes. So in the next video, we'll look at examples. But those are the formulas. I'll write that down again, but in a little bit.